Okay, here we go. Senate Bill 148.
Senate Bill 148. This bill we're joint with Triple E is primary. The bill authorizes for fiscal 2026 and each year thereafter that the governor includes in the annual budget an appropriation for the comprehensive flood management grant program of at least $20 million. The bill requires that in each fiscal year, at least 40% of the funding provided under the program be used for projects located in or directly benefiting underserved or overburdened communities. The amendment to the bill further added that in that 40% that's allocated, that areas where 90% of households are at risk of extreme flooding is also included. The amendment also changed the shall to may for the funding allocation.
Okay. Any comments? So, I feel like okay.
No.
No. Anybody like to be on the bill? Raise your hand. Okay. I feel like I asked this question a lot. I feel like we're going to have to get a clearer answer. Did we have a comprehensive, maybe that happened already in subcommittee. Did you have a review of the comprehensive look at the entire flood program and resiliency program? Senate.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes, and why are you laughing?
I'm trying to get on. Thank you. Yes, we did on Monday. And so it was yesterday.
Oh.
When we passed particularly the Storm Act and put 25 million aside for matching funds, federal allows for a 90% federal match to 10% stateside. That still exists, but there's just significantly less money at the federal level to actually meet 10%. 90% of our 25 million. So
Gotcha.
We've asked MDM to come back to us if they need any kind of change to match any other federal funding opportunities on the table. If not, they can spend the 25 million. They don't need any changes to that, but we did ask them to come back to us with new ideas.
Okay, and what did and how this obviously is separate from that.
Yes.
And it's just a flat out program that the state administers. It doesn't have anything to do with attaching any federal grant dollars.
I don't believe that it does. And this is traditionally gone to Annapolis, Ellicott City, flood prone areas.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I would just add to that. The chair of the subcommittee is being very generous to the federal government here in the sense that when we say 10 to 1, which is what we were looking at.
Yes.
We put up 25 million.
Yes.
250. Well,
years ago.
I know, but I think the number that we were told yesterday is the federal money available for us now is $6 million. So it's really a very small thing. And that's why I feel like this.
6 for the 25.
Yes.
Wasn't there a separate program also that was sort of supposed to be an add-on program?
I think that's called BRIC.
Yes. Yeah.
That was a part of our discussion yesterday. We did ask MDM to come in and give us kind of their best and final how they're going to use the money in light of the federal government not having as much as we all anticipated.
Basically, the federal government's not all it could be in this area right now.
Right, and that was all. I mean, that money was resiliency money, right, as opposed to actually responding to floods.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 181. You're getting almost as many bills as I am. So
Senate Bill 181 as amended authorizes rather than requires the governor for fiscal 2026 through 28 to include in the annual budget an appropriation of $1 million. The funds are to be used solely as an operating grant to qualifying nonprofit organizations for the purpose of providing training to formerly incarcerated individuals in automotive repair. There's one committee amendment and it changes the shall to may.
Was that? So it looks like there's 14,000 for this year.
That is to cover
Administrative costs, yeah. Okay. Okay, this is a good program, as I think we all know. We'll look to see if we can do something in the budget, a little more than the 14 this year. So let's keep that in mind, huh? 25,000. Right. Okay. All those, I'm wondering, might be some people want to be on this. If they're not,
Sure.
who wants to be on it? Raise your hand if you want on. Looks like it's everybody. Right. That's right. All right. All those in favor as amended with the actual amendment and the sponsor amendments. Aye. All opposed. Okay. All right. Prompt payment 183.
Senate Bill 183 is a procurement bill. As introduced, it would have required contractors and subcontractors to promptly pay suppliers. The bill would have added suppliers in for undisputed amounts that are owed. There is an amendment submitted by the sponsor, which would limit that requirement for the prompt payment of suppliers only to the contractors. It removes the requirement related to subcontractors from the bill.
Isn't that the responsibility of the contractor?
I think that's the point of.
That's the point.
But that is the whole point of the bill is the fact that DGS came in on it and has been in support. But the whole situation was when we did a state contract, it was different than if it was a private contract. And if a subcontractor went bankrupt, then everybody else that was underneath of him, the state would simply say, all you have to do is go after their bond, go hire an attorney and go after them. We had to, when the road got paved through Leonardtown, subcontractor went bankrupt. It took us 5 years to finish the project. And the people that they all signed on because of the state contract, that none of them were able to get paid. And this is what alleviates that problem moving forward. It allows it for us to move forward and have them paid also.
Okay. All those in favor as amended?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 434.
All right, bear with me. I'm pinch hitting for Erica today. 434 would alter the funding for state library resource centers. As introduced, it was a phase-in over 6 years. There are amendments which do a 3-year phase-in So that the funding required by 2027 and each year after would be $224 per state resident. Currently up from 197 in current law. The amendments also begin the phase up starting in fiscal 25 as introduced. It started in fiscal 26. So the bill increases funding 25, 26, 27, getting it to that 224 per state resident.
So does everyone understand what's going on here? Because we're essentially the amendment and work with the sponsor on this. It is a mandate, but what I asked her to consider, and that's where this amendment comes from, is that we not run it like the normal length or the length, putting it out to, I think, what, 2030.
Yeah.
And so it's only going to go to 2027. And of course, what that means is it won't impact some of the structural years where things get tough for us. And so we're in good shape for these next couple of years, but it won't impact the out years where things are more challenging. And I think that's a good compromise on this particular bill. And I know that we all have a affinity for our libraries, so I certainly think this is a good plan. Yes.
Trying to.
It's ongoing spending for our state library, the State Library Resource Center, which helps all the other libraries.
So it's one particular center? It's a state resource center, is that what you're trying to fix?
Yes.
Central repository.
It's a central, oh,
Like if your library, if I come in and want one,
Got
I
it.
don't have it,
got
your
it.
library can reach out to the center and
Thank you very much for that.
if I'm correct.
Thank
Yes.
you very much for that.
Hey, well, I'm here, I'm your wingman.
Go ahead, Senator.
Thanks,
Okay. Anybody else want their name on as a sponsor or co-sponsor? All right. All right. I don't know if I am or not.
Was the amendment already done? Or we doing the amendment now?
We will be doing the amendment. Yeah, on to it. Yes.
Okay. No, I mean, I was talking about from the 2030 down to 27.
That is the amendment that is before us.
All right,
Yes.
thank you.
Mhm. Okay, all those in favor of the amended version? Opposed? Okay.
And then I had McCray, Kazani, Zucker, Jackson, Benson, anybody else? Elfreth, Edelman.
Okay. $440.
Senate Bill 440 reestablishes with modifications the non-refundable venison donation income tax credit. An individual who hunts and harvests an antlerless deer for donation to a charitable venison organization may claim a credit of up to $75 of the expenses incurred to butcher and process the deer. The only amendment that I have is to add a request to be added as a co-sponsor from Senator Giles.
Kyle.
At home, it's about $75 for us, but a lot of places it's more than that. But this will definitely help. I mean, and if you're entertaining co-sponsoring.
Who would like to co-sponsor? Raise your hand. All right. All those in favor of the amended bill, Aye. Opposed? Okay, unanimous.
I got it.
Okay. Next one, 577 as a sponsor problem. So we're gonna pass on that one.
I'll let you slip by with that.
667.
Senate Bill 667, this is another procurement bill. As introduced, the bill would have required, or the bill would require the payment of attorney's fees in to successful bid protests or contract claims, and also expanding contract claims to all contract claims, not just construction claims. I do have a reprint that was passed out. These are amendments that were adopted by the House Committee, but I put them before you in case you were interested. And basically what these amendments do is they still allow attorney's fees, but it removes the requirement. And so instead of a shall, it's a may award reasonable attorney's fees for bid protests and contract claims. It also specifies on page 2 of the reprint, defines an interested party as an actual or prospective bidder, offerer, or contractor that may be aggrieved by the solicitation or award of a contract or by the protest. The testimony that was submitted expressed some concern from DGS and that with the requirement to pay attorney's fees, there may have that may result in a significant increase in the number of claims and protests that are filed. They do note that it's the vast majority of the cases tend to be upheld because the procurement officers are trying to administer the contracts in accordance with law. So I think with these amendments, it softens the concern about one, additional expenses, and two, a significant increase in additional claims and protests.
Okay. Everyone understand, like the amendments? Senator Hellman?
Jen. So, I don't really know anything about procurement law, but is this somebody who's not a party to the process of bidding?
So I think, so on page 2 of the reprint, that definition of interested party,
Yeah,
I believe the intent there is to narrow it to be people that just have an interest in the contracts, so either the prospective bidder, offerer, or contractor, not anybody. So they would have to have some connection to the initial process
Okay.
that they're, disputing or protesting, or be an actual contractor.
okay. It can't just be, oh, I was going to bid on this, but now I'm scared off and I was potentially a prospective bidder, but now I'm not. And it just seems loose to me. I mean, don't you want to get at people who are actually harmed, right?
I mean, we can take a look at the language if you want.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm concerned about this opening the floodgates. And obviously, if people are wronged, I want them to be the ones who have access to redress here and not just random people.
Mhm.
That's the only thing that just sort of jumped out to me,
Okay,
but I don't know if
okay,
that's right or not.
Sarah?
Thank you. And my understanding, Philip, is that it's just authorizing, I guess, it's not a mandate.
As introduced, it would have been a mandate. Under these amendments, one of the changes is to authorize. So currently, for protests, there's a provision explicitly saying no attorney's fees. This would allow for reasonable attorney's fees. And then the other piece on the contract claims expands it more broad. Currently, it's just construction, and that allows for reasonable attorney's fees. The bill would expand it to any contract claims, but still it's authorizing for reasonable attorney's fees, not requiring. And that would be if the conduct of the unit in charge of the procurement was acting in violation of law.
Senator Jackson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Philip, I guess, when you look at, interested party means an actual or a prospective bidder. Guess if we get rid of prospective or an actual bidder, offerer, or contractor. And take out perspective. Maybe. Maybe
And that's
that's
just people who are actually involved.
who've actually been aggrieved or injured. Right? And is that what we're trying to get at? I'm thinking, I mean, I
I
understand.
think that, yeah, I think that was Senator Holmes' question on whether the language.
It was my point, but I guess I'd like to go back to the sponsor and find out if there was a broader intent there.
We're gonna hold this, so.
Alright,
Senator Corman,
Just following up on Senator Zucker's question, Philip, when you said that it's changed to authorizing, who then makes that determination as far as?
The where is it? The appeals board,
I'm sorry,
the appeals board, the State Board of Contract Appeals.
so they'll just decide on themselves whether they would actually give the money back or the fees back or not?
If they rule in favor of the party,
Mhm.
they would be authorized.
They'd be
to
authorized, but I guess,
award reasonable attorney's fees.
I guess that's my question back, of how do they determine if they are gonna give said fees back, if they're not, like, yeah, they're authorized, they're able to do it, but like what actually determines that they actually will do it or won't do it? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems very ambiguous.
judgment.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, sure. Okay,
Sometimes we rely on judgment.
thank you.
Okay, we're gonna hold that. Okay. 678. This sounds like an exciting one.
Senate Bill 678 makes technical corrections to the tax general article. This departmental bill repeals an obsolete provision of law that only referenced the 1990 a 1990 section of the code that was only applicable to that tax year. And it also corrects an erroneous cross-reference.
All's in favor?
Aye.
So, Benson gets the first one, by the way, the very top one.
No, we're on the second.
Oh, we're second. Okay, so nobody gets that. All right, then the other ones are, yeah, by sponsor, and then that one by Zucker. Yes, it is liberating, isn't it? All right, 693.
693, this is a local bill for Carroll County's bond authorization that authorized them to issue up to 29.8 million in general obligation bonds. We do have the local letters
I'd entertain an amendment for a paint fee to attach to this. Absolutely fee. All those in favor without the amendment? Opposed? Good. 776.
Senate Bill 776 is a bill from the State Treasurer's Office. This is an emergency bill. This is follow-up to legislation you had last year about the management of the state's investing of surplus funds. The bill would ratify the current investments that are being done, and then the bill would increase the flexibility for future changes by moving the process into regulation and repealing certain statutory explicit statutory provisions that outline the types of assets and limitations that would all be done by regulation. There are also amendments to address a concern raised by local governments, since the treasurer's investment policy also has some effect on the local governments. There are additional provisions that would require them to consult with the local governments before implementing regulations affecting the local governments, and providing opportunity for them to consult on the first round of amendments, which would be required to be adopted by December 1st of 2024. I believe we do have representatives from the Treasurer's Office in case there are any questions about how all this works.
Questions for anyone? Yeah. Okay. All those in favor as amended?
Aye.
Opposed? Senator Jackson. You got this, Bill.
So it's trying to be quiet.
Senator Jennings.